Hey, what's up YouTube? I appreciate you guys tuning in once again. I got another video coming at you guys. This video is going to be specifically on 3 things you need to know before you start taking photos or even video at that. So if you're watching this video, you probably have a camera or you're thinking about getting a camera or you're trying to learn this new camera system that you just got. And you get it and it's just a lot of things going on. So to simplify everything, because I know most of you guys are probably going to shoot in auto mode, to simplify things, we're going to show you how to shoot in manual mode and get the most out of your camera. So there's 3 things, the basic 3 things that you'll have to know if you have any type of camera, no matter what system you're on, Sony, Canon, Nikon, whatever. The 3 basic things are ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. And not in any particular order, but those 3 things are the main things you're going to need to know when you shoot, and we're going to go over all 3 of those things. So the very first thing is shutter speed. And on your camera, what you'll see is a 1/150 or 1/125 on your camera. That's just shutter speed. That's how fast you shoot a photo. So the higher the shutter speed, so some cameras get up to 4,000, 8,000, that's a faster photo. For sports, quick movement, you can capture things in still motion. The lower the shutter speed, so I've seen some get to -30 seconds or 1/1, the slower it takes. So with that lower shutter speed, you want that shutter speed very low so you can capture something that may be standing still or something like a landscape or whatnot when you have it on a tripod. So let me give you 2 examples to kind of help explain shutter speed. So for example, if I take a photo here and it's 1/1000 or 1/2000 and I jump. And when I take that photo, when I jump, you'll see here that it's clear, it's crisp, it has me actually jumping. It has me still, there's no blur. Now, what happens if I take that shutter speed all the way down to let's say 1/30 or 1/50? I take that photo and look, now you see I'm a lot more blurry. So what you see here is the lower shutter speeds. Those are the things that capture things that are still, that really aren't moving. Maybe if you want to capture a waterfall and you want to get a good effect, you can use a lower shutter speed. And then the higher shutter speeds are mainly for things like fast movement. So that's shutter speed. And I want to show you guys how all of them work together. So the next thing is aperture. And what you'll notice about aperture is it's pretty much that number that has like 1.8 or 5.6, which is the standard. So basically what it is, the lower the aperture, and this is the thing that confused me the most, the lower the aperture, the more light is let in. So the lower that number, so if you have like a 1.2 or 1.4 camera, that camera shutter is just getting wider and wider and wider and letting more light come in. So basically, if you have a camera that has a low aperture, what happens is you have a number like 1.4 or 1.8, that lens just opens up and lets more light in. When you let more light in, it allows you to shoot in darker scenes. So if it's a nighttime photography or if you're in a building that doesn't have much light. Also, the lower the number, the kind of cool effect you see with the new iPhones are coming out right now, where they have the portrait mode. And with the portrait mode, it's everything in the background's like blurry, and then everything in the foreground up front is just sharp and crisp. So like this video right now I'm shooting on 85 1.8. So everything behind me is blurry, but you see me, I'm crisp, I'm clean. This is a 1.8. Now, if I slowly start to rise that number up to, like I said, some lenses can get up to 22 aperture. So if I rise that number, what happens, it makes everything flatter. Basically, when you raise that number, when you raise that aperture, that lens gets smaller and smaller and smaller and lets less light in. Basically, if you raise your shutter speed up to like 10, your shutter speed needs to start to get lower and lower and lower and lower so you can actually recover some of the light. So basically, to sum that up, low aperture means more light in, and with those lenses you can get really good quality photos in low light situations. And then the higher the aperture, the less light that's let in, and it's kind of difficult to get clean pictures in low light situations. And of course, for if you have a 1.4, 1.2, 1.8 type of lens, then you can get this nice cool effect where the foreground is very sharp and the background is very blurry. And you say, Seth, well, I'm in a low light situation, I want to take a photo, and my aperture only gets to like 4 or 5.6. How am I going to shoot that photo? Well, then there's something called ISO, and this is pretty much artificial light. It's fake light. It's light that's manufactured from the camera. So what you can do is play with your ISO and turn your ISO up, every so often as you work all 3 of them together. So basically with the ISO, whether it's high or low, you can kind of add artificial light if the situation isn't perfect. Now, one thing to know about ISO, the higher you get the ISO, the more noise, the more grain. So basically what I mean by noise and grain is you'll see the picture doesn't get as sharp. It starts to get a little bit blurry, starts getting grainy. And that's what happens when you move the ISO up too high. So basically those are the three things you should know when you go shoot. You got shutter speed, you got aperture, and ISO. So basically shutter speed. The higher the shutter speed, the faster you take a photo. The lower the shutter speed, the lower you take a photo. And then next is aperture. The lower the number, the more light you can let in, and that allows you to take better photos in low light situations. The higher the number, it makes everything flat and sharp and less three-dimensional. And of course, with aperture, the lower the number allows you to get that nice crisp image in the foreground and the background very blurry. And the last thing is ISO, and that's artificial light. It allows you to kind of put fake light in dark situations, but remember, the higher it gets, the more noise. Hey, look, I thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching, just take this, go out and play with your camera, see how it works for you. When I started off, I did not have the best camera, best equipment. I didn't know how to shoot on auto. I didn't like the image, so I just kind of played around and watched some YouTube videos like this one to learn how to figure out just how to shoot. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. I told you guys I'm pumping out videos every single day. So if you're watching and you're tuning in, thank you so much. So if you have not, definitely subscribe. Hit that subscribe button down low. Follow me on Instagram at Seth Travers. It's very basic, it's just my name. I wasn't too creative. But follow me on Instagram, subscribe here. I'm putting out more content. I appreciate you guys watching. Hey, look, deuces. Still movement. And the faster shutter speed, dog, do I even know what I'm talking about? Here's the lower shutter speeds capture, dog, what is wrong with me today? So basically, I don't even know where I was at, dog. For those sports photos, why am I going deep into that? I don't need to go deep in that. And that's what that's what we talk about when we talk about aperture. We talk about, all right, come on, big dog. That ISO allows you to kind of figure out where you should put. I give up, dog. I gotta do better. Like I'm like freaking Porky the Pig over here, dang, talking and make photos. And if you, that's it. I don't even want to record anymore.